Is it appropriate to ask a question regarding what you feel?
Probably not.
It's the last one.
Yeah. Is it a general question?
Yes, it is. I'm wondering why it's flat hardship as opposed to other, there's another appeals that we're hearing tonight, which regarding shoreline zoning to the greatest extent possible. Why wasn't it filed as that?
Because the structure was not important. Part of the structure was not important. It was removed more than 18 months ago. And so it no longer qualifies.
See, that was like that.
Yeah, we kind of missed that little thing. I was basically going on the regular zoning ordinance that
Yeah.
says any non-conforming structure can't be rebuilt if it's torn down by or for the owner.
Yeah,
So I mean, this was not an accident that it fell down.
yeah, well,
And
1800.
it was a prior owner, so it didn't qualify there, but then I went to the shoreline zoning and it could have qualified had it still been within the 18
Yeah,
months.
that's why I asked.
He would have come for a determination setback.
Which would be about 18.
Yep.
Oh,
That's
that
right.
explains it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
And we put that in the, if you look at the draft decisions that we did, it's in there.
Oh, okay.
It's in there, so
Good.
it's more of a staff finding, so. We can maybe raise that issue.
Hello.
Good.
No, I mean, not ask. That's what it is.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you were.
Well, if you tell them there to.
That's good.
And yes, and if she, and I. Well, it's not really,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really too bad.
It is, yeah, yeah.
So you were like.
So, 31 Chamberlain, so John.
Oh, second one there. Shelley, that's good. Okay, we saw Shelley.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, Peter.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Fantastic, doing well. Like yourself?
Good. I'm glad it's no longer zero.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
That was.
It's coming back though.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna freeze everything too. You know, I've got my driveway is now a giant puddle from the melting today. Yeah, it's gonna become a giant.
Oh, this is nothing compared to what's gonna be happening very shortly. We're gonna be getting into some intense rain.
Yeah.
By the time we leave here, it's gonna become cats and dogs.
Ah,
No, my
Well, good night.
It's slow.
yeah.
Now I can't get.
But at least it won't be snow. You'll 50 miles an hour and it's gonna be snow.
Yeah. So what are you thinking of from?
Yes. I'm thinking very basically, this is the typical what is. Yeah, it's available. I'm thinking of my reference point of the bank where each of those on the same, but generally it goes, we have this type of application. This is a general rundown of what it is, what the request is. So I guess basically he's taking a variance of X in order to buy. Vietnam is available for discussion.
Okay. My big concern is that we express anything that might be interpreted as a final fact.
Right.
Or that something is with respect to the appellant's appeal. So that's what was us in an awkward position. And MMA training 3 years ago, kind of made it imperative that staff not advise Wrangler.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not in the position where there would be that kind of an interpretation, but either the appellant or angry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking not interpretation so much as just kind of like Brian and I were saying, like to take things up. I don't think it's level point a little bit, that just introduce the account. Like that. Yeah, which is the evidence and then like. Further. The thing like the extent of information we basically. even less time.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, we don't have to do it this time around, since we're just not talking about it, but we can try it.
Yeah, why don't we do it next time, actually, why don't we try it tonight? Because we have the administrative review with it, and, for that one, I might not want any control. So, yeah. Hi, Doreen. Well, nothing to do.
Yeah, so that's fair.
She's on the road. People really realizing.
They're not pursuing it, you know, they're pursuing it.
You give Peter about the public comment there, yeah, okay.
That should be at the very end of. On 28.
I think that's the only public written comments that we received
Next class,
for any of the issue with.
that's the only one that came in.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Go on.
I know,
Here's,
but that's when.
You're missing January 5th.
In March.
Oh,
Yeah. That's.
gotcha, okay. Yeah. I can
attend remotely, yeah.
Gotcha, yeah, let's talk, because Kyle is stepping down with Floyd.
Different question.
And, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who's running the behind it, I'm not sure the appointments committee has really met yet to consider it. Yeah, let's figure it out.
Yeah, we can try it. We got
Yeah.
15 minutes out.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, no,
I
we can't do any special treatment.
I don't expect it. Especially from Mr. Doherty. I just realized, Sheldon saying. Usually it's not Sheldon.
I was wondering.
Especially.
Myself, yeah. But no, not at all. For way back when. Probably your grandfather's gonna get that history of fence. Where are you people from? Where are you from?
Look, my dad grew up in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But, yeah, but he went to the Coast Guard, I think it was 18.
Yeah.
He got stationed in South Florida, and a buddy of his had a girlfriend, Kenny Bug, so he went.
So that's how you know that popped in
And
there.
he met my mother, and here I am.
Yeah, that's how it worked. Nice to see you. Yeah.
It's okay, yeah,
I'm getting there.
thank you. And I can't tell you how,
Yeah.
how sad
I hear you, Master.
yeah. Your presence has been undenied. More than a year, and you made me a better sheriff, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, happy to do it.
Are you relocating or something?
Well,
Hello.
I'm not gonna.
Good.
Is it 54?
That's a good reason.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, try to get me out of
But.
house, that's right, I already been.
I see. Yeah, that's good. I see.
Raining.
I'm like, okay, yeah. So then you don't want it to make time. I am about to January. Yeah. And I decided to the west, it's super awesome.
Have you looked at that, proposal of, the RVs?
Last street.
Have you been involved in that?
I'm elevating.
My son goes to that daycare, so
Oh, yeah.
I saw it.
And, yeah,
Will
we
we
really
in
need.
that structure, so
Really, I'm trying to.
I'm gonna work.
They're asking for like a space waiver, I'm sorry, space waiver, and where the RVs like comes out, like where you would pick up your.
California, so we're
Right,
one of the.
pick up for the children.
yeah.
It's like a very dangerous.
They really want to locate Scarborough, we used to hold up, I think it was Wendy's.
I know.
Well, to see where this is, you can actually not really so.
Yeah. I don't, well, that has zoning exceptions. I didn't look like it would, but
I
I
don't think so.
Yeah.
So, I think the planning board's gonna have a hard time. approving of
Which one? That's not a big issue.
the RVs next to the little Dolphin school.
The project, it's not gonna be part of a small footprint, primarily.
Yes.
Yeah. That. It's gonna put a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, they're trying to claim that
What's
they're.
that?
I love it.
That.
I actually like our
Daycare,
Drive the tops of me.
Yes, and that's-
Well, yeah, paperwork was,
But
Did you?
during, I did drive on this kind of times.
Oh, real? Some people know my 9 days.
Like I've had to park over, you know.
I didn't even see it, it was at the bottom or something.
So. I mean, I like.
I guess I get it.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the December 10th meeting of the Town of Scarborough Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we call to order, I'll have a brief announcement on technical issues.
I just wanted to mention if any of the appellants tonight are planning to share supplementary materials from their own devices, the best way to do that is to join the Zoom call, which is on the town calendar, and do it that way and share your screen. And if not, or if there are any materials that you've already submitted to the agenda that you'd like to see pulled up larger for the board to reference, I'll have access to our agenda as well as the town GIS map, so you can just request if you'd like to see any visuals.
Terrific, excellent. Okay, with that, I will call the meeting to order and ask that we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll remind everyone, this is a public meeting, and it is being recorded. We are a quasi-judicial board of record for the town. We hear appeals and and determine findings of facts, which allow us to determine whether a appeal meets the requirements under state and town law for approval or requires us to reject the appeal. We will go through an approved agenda, which folks can find online and should have available to them. And occasionally we will have audio visual. Yeah, we have appeal approvals. I have one announcement that the appeal 2786 was withdrawn prior to the meeting. So for that on the agenda, we will not hear that tonight. And I believe has been withdrawn in its entirety. So we will that one is no longer a part of our record. The first part of our agenda is we go through the formal findings of fact from last month's meeting. We'll then hear the appeals for tonight. With that, Doreen, if you would call the roll.
Peter Freilinger,
Here.
Kyle Noonan,
Here.
David Bork,
Here.
Michelle Stevenson,
Here.
Joe Doherty,
Here.
Michael Campbell,
Here.
and Richard Silkman is absent.
And with Richard absent, we will formally elevate Joe to be a voting member for this evening's proceedings. With that, we will enter our agenda. We have the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I was not able to, I tried to attend, but I was not able to attend due to technical issues. So I will ask the vice chair who was there, just do the minutes reflect what took place?
They do, Mr. Chairman.
Terrific. Any other comment from our members? Could I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
David, thank you. All in favor? Terrific. That is unanimous. Our action items. So the first is the written decision for appeal 2787, a limited reduction of yard size. This was an approval of the variance. Again, I was not able to hear this. So did this reflect the board's findings and understanding? Looks like a bunch of nods.
Yeah.
Martin? Yep, lots of nods. Could I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second?
I second.
Thank you. And all in favor? That is unanimous. The second is the written decision for appeal number 2788, a practical difficulty variance. Again, this was approved as well. I believe this one was approved with some dissents, but it was approved. And do we have, did the findings reflect the discussion that occurred in the meeting? I see nods. That's good. Then do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Michelle. And all in favor? That is unanimous again. And then again, the final. No, then we're now into the we're now into the items, right? Yeah. Okay. I have to admit, this agenda format where the files it throws me off. So I apologize for that. So we have a shoreline setback determination for 105 Spurwink Road, Assessors Map R099. For those of you who are not as familiar with this, we are the body that's been appointed by the town council for approvals of shoreland setback determinations, not usually part of zoning board approvals in other towns, but that's what we've been given. So this does not receive an appeal number. It just is considered on its own. With that, I'll ask Helen to give a quick summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the appellants are seeking a determination of shoreline setback to the greatest practical extent for their property at 105 Spurwink Road in order to permit the raising of the existing structure to 15.5 feet elevation in order to comply with current floodplain management requirements. And their proposal also includes a few changes to the structure itself, which I'll let them expand more on in discussion.
Are the appellants or their representative here in person? If you would take the podium, please, and go through and describe the request. This is not an appeal, technically, this is a request. And then go through the determination forms.
I'll read the notes here that our contractor put together. Attached, please find the supporting documents for our request to reconstruct the building at 105 Spurwink Road. As shown on the partial site plan, the existing 2,595 square foot footprint is 38% within the 75-foot setback from the upland edge of the wetland. Other than the existing footprint, there's only 757 square feet of buildable land on 104,000 plus lot. This area, along with the existing buildable area on the lot, would require completely new structure versus reconstruction on the existing foundation. This effort would make the project financially impossible for us. Our proposal is to raise the non-compliant first floor to an elevation of 15.5 feet to meet the current requirements. The existing structure is slab on grade with a structurally sound concrete footing and stem wall. A new stem wall doweled into the existing stem wall will raise the floor to the required elevation, and then a new concrete slab poured to be the new finished floor. In addition to this, we're requesting to construct two small raised additions on the northeast corner of the building. This would be on one pier each, not on like a deck, keeping the extended first floor at the required elevation. One of the existing decks are also proposed to be reconstructed as shown. Given our conforming biddable area limitations and financial limitations, we're requesting approval from the board to allow a reconstruction as proposed. We feel that this approach is our best effort of meeting the setback to the greatest practical extent.
Okay, these are sort of unusual for us in general, so we don't have the standard findings of fact that we would normally have for an appeal. But are there any questions from the board for this?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, there were some drawings submitted by the appellate.
Mhm.
And I'm having a difficult time understanding exactly where everything is here. If you could please sort of explain, the site of the property and what we're looking at, what you're proposing, so that we can get a better understanding.
I'm so glad you said that because I was confused as well by the drawings, and thank you.
Yeah, so
that's
good. The drawing here kind of, so
Yeah,
what it's showing is based on the current setback, that kind of middle white area. So you see that kind of central, so the first thing is that the darker black line is the existing house.
yep.
That white area inside of that existing house is the only buildable for the current
Okay,
setback. So what we're requesting is to build, to elevate the house in that existing footprint, plus closing off those two corners in the front. And then there's that one white area that's actually in the existing that we're gonna kind of square it off to kind of make the structure squared. But all of it being compliant with the new
and it was
flood maps.
just very difficult to read. So the white mass in the center is the compliance area.
Yeah.
What are the sort of areas that scope out beyond that? Are those 50-foot lines or I just couldn't read the print.
Some are topo lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I just couldn't read it from them.
Yeah.
It may be difficult with the papers, but just make sure to speak into the mic if possible, just for folks on Zoom.
So you've got there's the white area that's within the setback.
Mhm.
The the gray, hang on, look at my notes here. So the gray is, that's, I think that's the 10-foot mark.
Okay.
I believe that's a 10-foot. Then, so yeah, that's within the 10-foot. And then it's I believe so this would be the, yeah, area of the lot not within 75 is that kind of grayed in, the little lined off areas. Area of lot not within the 75-foot setback. The kind of dash lined with the dots is the 75-foot setback. And then the structure, like I said, is the dark black is the existing structure, with the light gray being the areas we're requesting to square off the house.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
You may.
So the two corners to the right, I guess the easternmost corners, that's where the footprint of the building is proposed to be expanded, but there isn't an additional foundation going in, just a pole. Is that correct?
Yeah, the thought was to make it simpler by just almost building as you would if it were a deck.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
So if I heard you correctly earlier, you've got a couple of areas, let's say it's, I don't know, the part of the house closest to the river, I guess, right? That you were going to add onto, is that correct?
Those are the two little corners, yeah.
The little corners you're gonna
Mhm.
square off.
Yep.
And then, can you explain, I also read somewhere in the literature, there's an existing deck and patio that will be removed and replaced with a smaller new deck, is that correct? And where is that located?
So that would be, if you look at the bottom of you'll see a little bit of a gray dash, so it's I guess if this was
Is that it?
that area, yeah, that's the existing deck.
Okay,
The thought is we're gonna replace it,
In the-
with new decking,
Okay, and replaced, not removed, but replaced.
replaced, yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So I guess a question I had, there was something in the literature about a 7% reduction in the non-compliant area.
Yeah, with the smaller deck, when you factor in a smaller deck, the overall usage of land will shrink.
Okay.
Is that true even considering the squaring off of the corners?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, and there, it kind of says the existing footprint, and the proposed area, so it's about a 7% reduction overall.
okay, that's the 1175 versus the proposed is 990, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're reducing it by 7% and then raising it to meet the new flood.
Yeah, so we're gonna elevate it a half a foot above it, just a
Right,
little extra.
okay, thank you.
Can I ask a couple of questions? too?
Sure, go ahead.
You're on town sewer, I assume.
Yes. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. No, septic.
You're on a septic,
Yeah,
okay.
septic, yeah.
Does that factor into the appeal at all? No, okay. The vegetation. Will any vegetation be removed as part of the construction?
Don't believe so. They're just really some shrubs around the house, and the plan is to replant them.
Okay.
I guess, again, just, I apologize for not fully understanding the diagram. This line here, what is that line?
So that line is, that's the 10-foot. So they did kind of, the lighter gray lines are kind of the feet. So you got 7, 8, 9, and that black line's showing you the 10-foot. And then the compliance is about, I think it's 11 and a half. Yeah.
So that's a topo line above, mean high tide or, which of the high tide lines, I guess, is that?
Hold on, see what that.
Is that the annual high tide or highest annual tide
I think it's,
On-
it says HAT, so I'm assuming highest
that-
annual tide.
Didn't it usually mean high tide?
It's usually mean, but the setback is from highest annual tide, so.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna,
Yeah, and that,
And the hat line is labeled, it's way back to the marsh side of the property. What you're looking at is a 10-foot contour line around the structure.
got it,
The hat line is way back,
Okay.
75 feet back, so.
got it, that,
Yeah.
thank you, Brian, that's helpful. Okay, that actually makes much more sense now, and, are there any other questions? The real,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Just one
Yeah.
other. So there was a mention of an existing slab that's in good condition.
Yep.
That slab is being reused?
yep,
And
it's
the-
gonna build on the existing slab.
Okay, the new structure, so the structure's not changing?
Yeah.
At all relative to the existing slab?
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, the squaring off, the squaring offs you mentioned are on, poles. So you're not building down to the ground or to the slab on those.
Yeah.
But because they increase the absolute footprint, that's why we're effectively, or among other reasons, that's one of the reasons why we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we assumed that would be more, that he went with that, assuming that would be the better in terms of approval.
got it.
We're gonna follow that method.
as we've gone on these before, this, again, this has a reduction by the removal or the reduction of the deck size, and the reduction of the overall footprint, of non-compliant, of the overall reduction of non-compliant footprint. This seems like something we can approve. Under the shoreline setback determination, regulation. And I don't see anything here that stands out as being egregious or something that is impeding on the purpose of the shoreline setback, determination. It seems actually quite respectful of it, so I'd be interested in, if there's not any other comments, we have some small findings of fact that were included or proposed by staff on our draft, at the end, which I think all makes sense. And on that basis, for those findings, which I agree with, I would be interested in entertaining a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Thanks, Joe. Is there further determination or any comments on the findings that were drafted by staff? Which again, I'm quite comfortable with, but if there's any other thoughts from the board for that? Not seeing any, we'll take a vote. Doreen,
Peter Freilinger,
approve.
Kyle Moonen,
Yes.
David Bort,
Yes.
Michelle Stevenson,
Yes.
and Joe Doherty.
Yes.
That is approved. Thanks very much. This is
Yeah.
unusual for us, so we kind of,
No worries. Thank you. Test my limits to try to read these drawings too. So.
the rest of you will have a lot more process to deal with, so sorry about that, but, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we are on to, again, we are, not appeal 2786, but 2789, for Paul Beaver at 92 Broad Turn Road. If you, Helen is gonna give us a quick introduction and then you can, step up to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the appellant is seeking a miscellaneous appeal for their property at 92 Broad Fern Road, in order to permit the enlargement and expansion of a previously approved non-conforming use, which is landscape and property maintenance, to the entirety of the property. The use was previously approved in March of 2022 as a conversion from a prior non-conforming use. But this approval did not apply to the entire site, which I believe was the appellant's intention, which I'll let them speak to. Just one note, procedurally, planning board has provided an advisory opinion as is required by the ordinance, and that is included in everyone's agenda. I'll pass it back.
I will remind folks, who were here for for March of 22, we did approve that with a pretty good discussion. And so, what I'd say is, first of all, thank you for dealing with us as we go through the requirements of our ordinance. And I'll make some other comments as we go through this, but if you could give us your description and your request for the appeal.
Sure. Basically, 3.5 years ago, I came in for non-conforming use permit, and I thought that I was just applying for one for the whole property. It seems that it just transferred an existing use. I don't fully understand the reason why I'm here, but I'm looking to just make sure that the use extends to the entire property.
Yep. A couple of comments I'll make on the base, on that earlier one, because I was there as part of the discussion. I don't know that if you would ask the members of the board at the time, I believe we thought we were approving an appeal for the entirety of the property as well.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and this has come up at long range planning as well in terms of discussing non-conforming uses within the RF zone for this. So, on that basis, we have the previous application, which we found to be, I think that was a unanimous decision. Doreen, can you confirm that?
I believe it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so what I'd say is, I'd ask the board, do we find anything materially to consider for the variance to apply to the entirety of the property as opposed to what we thought we were approving before, which was frankly the entirety of the property?
Can I ask some questions of the appellant just to understand that? Because I don't.
You can, but David raised his hand just before you started, so yeah. So David, and then John, yes.
All right, thank you. I was there as a member of the board at that time. And what we approved, I'd just like to know whether or not you are proposing any additional structures on this property.
I'm looking to go before the planning board with an additional structure, which is why this came up.
Okay, well, one of the items that the feedback that we received from the planning board was to consider the impact on neighbors with the changes that you were proposing. And also to look at the impact it would have on, water runoff or just any kind of drainage issues that might occur due to, adding impervious structures, to the property. And I don't see in the application where you address that at all, other than I'm a professional, I know how to do that. That's my job. Okay. But it doesn't really answer the question regarding the neighbors, impact on neighbors visually. Have you put into place the fences and landscaping that you said you were going to do at the last approval?
Yes, one side does not have a fence yet because while one neighbor is perfectly fine with it, there is another neighbor that seems to be in the middle of a lot of legal issues and doesn't want me to take down the trees that are technically on his property in order to put the fence in. So I've kind of just been waiting for him to take a hike and then I can finish that fence. The other fence on the other side was completely done. And then, but yeah,
I believe it was the east and west property ends. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, no, it'd be, northeast and southwest.
So yeah, I know it's probably not precise, but that's what it says here.
Yes.
Okay, so are there additional things that you propose to do as far as providing additional landscaping, fencing, what have you, to protect the property from the expansions that you're describing here from the site of your neighbors?
Yeah, the only potential building I'm looking to put up is way in the back of the building where you cannot see it from any neighbors.
Okay, as I looked at the photographs, or it looked like an aerial photograph, and it showed different buildings, and one of them said new building on it.
Right.
Okay, is that the one building that you're adding now?
Yeah.
Proposed to add?
Right.
That's the only one?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
And for what purpose would that building be used?
Looking to have it serve the purpose of an office.
Okay, on the drawing, it also shows an office way at the end of the property.
That is the new building that I'm talking about.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, so you're
I'm a little
talking about,
confused.
all right, so toward the front of the property, I eventually would like to reduce that red roof building to just what's in the black square.
All right, so, yeah, that's the one I was referring to.
Okay, sorry,
So
that's not,
new,
right.
okay.
That's not yet in the plan. I mean, I'd like to get an overall site plan
Yeah,
review
so
done.
with the overall site plan request that you are
Mhm.
that you're presenting to us, that's what you would be proposing.
That was in there before this last appeal was done.
Yeah.
The changes to that building were there prior. It's the new building way at the back of the property that caused me to have to come back here to expand my non-conforming
Okay.
use to
And
the whole property.
In that office that shows down there way at the end of the back there, it looks to me like it's rather small. What is the size of it?
I haven't drawn up a plan yet for it. Probably a 30 by 50 or a 30 by 40.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's a big piece of property, so, yeah.
It's a 4-acre piece of property.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be probably a 1,000 square foot building.
Mhm.
The other thing that I want to clarify for the board here is we're approving we're considering the non-conforming use. We're not diving into the site plan yet. That's really the planning board's.
But the planning board asked us to consider the two things that I brought up.
Yeah, which confused me frankly. Because again, that's
Okay.
usually a site plan review issue, not a non-conforming use issue.
Okay.
So,
they were asking us to do their work as they do with other things at times.
correct.
And so that's why I thought it was important to bring those things up. So I'll stop here and let other people comment.
So can I ask a quick question of Helen, I think? So what we're trying to do, we have to decide two questions, I think. Whether the impacts and effects of what he proposes to do will not be substantially different from or greater than what he's doing now, and whether he will comply with the performance standards. Is that
That is correct.
okay?
Yes. Performance standards as it relates to the enlargement and expansion of this non-conforming use, but not necessarily performance standards that will be reviewed in the site plan.
Okay.
Say that.
Oh, sorry.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify the performance standards that you were referring to, Kyle, as it relates to this appeal and the enlargement and expansion of a previously approved non-conforming use, not the performance standards that will come up as part of the site plan review process with planning board when this, if approved, reaches that next step.
Okay.
Again, I am a bit frustrated with the planning board. I'm not familiar with a non-conforming use being applied to only a portion of a property by a property owner. I don't believe that the property owner thought that he was applying to only a portion of the property when he came to us 3 years ago. I'm certain that we as a board did not think we were approving a partial property non-conforming use. So I'd like to have it registered with the planning board that that they have to make it that if non-conforming uses are applied only to sub-footprints within a property, somebody has to tell us. Because we approve property uses for a unit, for a lot, not for a box within a lot. So I'm a little frustrated with that. And I'm frustrated partially on behalf of the property owner on this one, but also for us as a board, we need to know what we are approving and what we approve when we approve things. And we thought we approved something and no one told us what we actually approved. Or they made that determination after we approved it, which was even worse. So I want to register my frustration with the planning board on that one. But then we come down to Kyle's question, which is, I think, the right one. What are we doing here? Has anything changed if we apply this to the whole lot? And on that basis, I guess, again, Joe, you were going to say something, so go ahead. I'm just now frustrated.
To carry on, as I was reading through this, I had the same questions.
Yeah.
So I guess a question for you. You have an office on site today?
Yep, it's in one of the white roofed buildings.
Your plan is to move the office to the back of the property
I would like to
at some point?
at some point.
And I don't see where any of that would have any impact on the surrounding neighbors
Agreed.
or represent some substantive change in the activities that are going on. So, yeah,
It looks like the site plan has a road or a trail or a path or something that would go back to that office. But we assumed, and we were told that such utility roads would be built or made use of by the act of running a landscaping business on the property. So again, I fail to see why we're looking at this at all. And again, and unless members of the board would like to go through item by item, I would rather vote, I would rather accept a motion at this point saying this board does not see any material difference from the variance that was granted in 2022, and therefore we extend the variance to the entirety of the property in 2025.
Well, can I propose a little bit of a different approach?
Sure, yeah.
What if we just adopt the findings that the board made in 2022?
Mhm.
And then we could make a separate finding that the proposed use that's before us tonight is not substantially greater than or different from what was before us in 2022.
I'm good with that as well. As far as this, I don't want to exhaust the board going through 8 items
Yeah.
of fact that we already found.
Just thinking about, you know, adopting the findings that
Yeah.
were already found, and then we could then say, these are not, you know, based on those findings, we can find that there isn't a substantially greater or different use of the park.
Can
Michelle?
we also add something that says, you know, he doesn't need to come back every time he's gonna put a structure, I mean, or does he need to come back every time he wants to put a structure on there?
Well, I do think, I mean, when I wasn't here in 2022, but we did propose, I assume there was like a proposed use that included structures.
Structures, yeah, generally.
So-
And again, we don't approve site plans, so we didn't approve a site plan. It was just the uses that would be normal and associated with the operation of a landscape business was included some buildings, vehicle storage, a longer list of things that are actually included in the package, so, yeah.
Just so that he doesn't necessarily have to keep coming back to us, you may need to get further site reviews or
Yeah.
whatever they require when you're adding buildings,
Yeah.
but for the property, like we approve.
For the non-conforming use, I agree. If you come back here and you want a variance on your setbacks from the side of the property, that's different. That's a setback. But for the non-conforming use, I agree with you, Michelle. So Kyle, I would love you to propose a motion on the basis that you described.
I propose that the board adopt the findings of fact that were made in 2022.
So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
David, thank you. Any further discussion? No?
I'm sorry, just,
Yeah.
if we're gonna go through this process, we would normally, if he's gone through an application, the full application with us, just ask the chair, do we need to, or should we be going through also the other steps before we get to a vote, which
No,
ask for public comment? And have we heard from any of the abutters? Just to make sure that,
That's a good point. That part, yes, we do need you. And Joe, I appreciate you doing that because I'm thinking much more about the findings of fact than all the rest than that part of the process. So
Okay.
let me, before we have a motion on the table, but, and it has been seconded. But I will pause the motion at this point and open it up to any public comments, if there is public comment on this. There is no public comment included in the package and nothing on email or phone calls. Okay. So with that, public comment is closed. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. My frustration with the planning board bubbled over a bit. So we have a motion that's been seconded. Any other comment on the motion? We'll take a vote.
Peter Freilinger,
Yes.
Kyle Noonan,
Yes.
David Bork,
Yes.
Michelle Stevenson,
Yes.
and Joe Doherty.
yes,
The motion, that motion is approved. Do we need a second? A second?
I think we do. I think we
Yeah.
need to make a finding that, we find the exact language, but that this proposed, the proposal that's before us is not substantially greater than or different from the use that was the existing non-conforming use that we approved in 2022.
Agreed. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
David, thank you. Any further comment? Seeing none. Doreen?
Peter Freilinger.
Yes.
Tom Harlan.
Yes.
David Bork.
Yes.
Michelle Stevenson.
Yes.
And Joe Doherty.
Yes.
That is approved as well. So that is approved. And thank you. You can sense our frustration along with yours. And we'll have our conversation with the planning board on this. So,
Thank you very much.
okay. Now, on to the last one of the evening. It's only 7:30. We're doing pretty well tonight. We have appeal number 2790, a variance appeal by Scott Doherty, 128 Winnick's Neck Road. Give us a quick overview.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the appellant is seeking a standard hardship variance appeal for their property at 128 Winnick's Neck Road in order to permit the construction of an 8 by 20-foot elevated deck at the dwelling's second egress, which would replace a previously removed shed, which was also used, the roof of which was used as a deck. This is in the R2 district as well as the shoreland overlay zone, which is why the standard hardship variance is the path that the appellant is pursuing tonight. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Got it. Mr. Doherty, if you would step up to the podium, please.
Yes. You want an explanation of what I'm doing?
Exactly, yes.
All right. Yeah, it's just basically, I mean, I bought the property. It's been unoccupied for 10, 15 years. And evidently the structure had rotted away and fell over. And I don't know when it was removed, but I think the ordinance is if it's been gone for 2 years, but I don't know if it has been, but I assume it was before that. I don't know if a neighbor complained about it or not, but the neighbors that I talked to there thought it was fine to put the deck back on. I thought it would be fine. It was an existing deck. We have the tax map shows the structure and it shows that there's a deck. It says deck right on it, that there definitely was a deck there of that size, and the footings of it is still there. There's a lot of evidence that it was there. There's pictures, if you look at the back page of the tax assessment, it shows a picture of the house and it shows that deck on there. That one right there, pretty sure that's the one. It's hard for me to see there, but from here I can't see it, but I can see it, you know.
Understood.
You know, it's the view there is beautiful. It'd be, you know, it had a deck, obviously. I mean, the value of the property would significantly be reduced if you didn't have a deck. There's all the neighbors around there have decks. The neighbor in front of me is a deck over the marsh grass. So, I mean, if they can have a deck, I think I could, but I guess that's all I got for now, unless you have some more questions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I do have a question,
go for it.
for staff. Okay, where the deck was, okay, was that, egress?
From what I understand, egress was added to provide access to the former deck before that structure was removed.
Meaning
Which structure?
stairway or something, or? what-
Before the shed that was there where the roof was serving as that deck. From what staff understands, there was a sliding door that was added to provide access to that roof. Which then became a point of egress
Okay.
onto that.
Are the stairs still there? And is there a way to get into the slider?
I don't
There?
believe so. I think
So there's
Brian
only
also
one
has-
entrance to the structure.
Correct.
Is that legal?
Brian?
Yes, you only need one path of egress out of each structure.
Egress, services.
Means of egress, one for single family
didn't-
dwelling. That's not even a dwelling because it doesn't have complete housekeeping facilities there. There's no plumbing there.
I was gonna ask that as a second question also. So you have sewer and water?
No, it doesn't even have a septic system. I didn't really realize that. I bought it, but it has one of those incinerator toilets. And it has water, it has a well. It has a well and
I
they've
saw
had
that.
water. They've
Yeah, on
had,
the assessors, it did show water and sewer, but there was a comment on the sewer, which kind of
yeah,
questions.
right.
Yeah.
It's not public sewer for sure, and it's not even a septic system is there.
Okay, and the heating system is coal and wood, I understand?
No, there's an old gas furnace, a propane furnace
I
that's
see.
there, and I haven't even checked to see if it works. I was gonna put in a heat pump for heat and cool.
Well, it looks like the assessor's map had a few errors.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure, and from what I'm understanding, the footprint of where it is a little bit off a little bit, but it's close. But they didn't know for sure if you're looking at that building, you just saw the building to the right of it.
Yeah.
The woods there to the right of it, the property line does go over quite a ways there. Cause it has been surveyed now.
Okay, and what would be the proposed use of this structure?
The what?
Proposed use of the structure?
Just as like a cottage to, and maybe a summer rental, something like that.
I see, even though it doesn't have water?
Well, it does have water.
I see a half bath, but I don't see a half bath meaning just a toilet and a sink, is that correct?
What they had there was an incinerator toilet, and they had a kitchen sink, and it's an old sink and counter from the 40s, the 30s, well up, the building was built in the early 1900s, 1800s.
It says 1800 as the.
Right, but I don't know when. I assume this was put in a long time ago.
That's
And
probably the oldest
what
building.
they had is they had a well, and the well is very old. You can tell that it's old, but it has a well, it has a pump, has an expansion tank, and it has, no, it's electric.
Electric, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
updated, yeah,
All right, so you would use this as a rental property,
right.
not for you to live in.
Someday I may, but not right now, no.
All right, that helps us to clarify what.
Right.
More about the property.
Right.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions regarding, I'm looking at the assessor's map and then also this picture. And I noticed there's this shows an old egress, right? Stairs up and across, there's a door and a few windows.
Right.
Along that.
Right.
And so what we're talking about is, you're saying there was a deck, what this shows.
Right.
On the front side that we can't see.
Right.
And we believe that there was a deck there based on the assessor's map. And you said there are footings.
Right.
That
And
are out there.
There's a big sliding glass door.
Facing out towards the
facing
mark.
out,
or
and
the-
now it's a, 8-10 foot drop off.
Okay.
Out that door.
So the assumption is that at some point the deck fell apart and.
It did. What I can, from seeing it, knowing structures and stuff, basically what it boiled down to, I think, is they never flashed when they put the sill to the house. There was probably never any flashing, because that hole right where that's would, where the decking would meet the building was just completely rotted right out. Yeah.
So I'm not sure who to address this question to, maybe. If a structure collapses, falls into disrepair, is removed, no longer exists, and then somebody proposes to replace it, rebuild something in that footprint, are we, I guess, how do we approach that? Do we approach it as the structure was there, so they're able to replace, or it's a new structure? How does that get handled?
So in the shoreland overlay zone, it would be treated differently if the structure had been removed within 18 months of it being rebuilt. But we are out of that 18-month window, which is why the standard hardship variance is the path available in this case. But if the shed had been removed sometime last year, then it would be able to be replaced in that footprint. So it'd be a different process.
I have a question for you. Do you plan on using those same footings? Are they usable?
They seem to be pretty good. There was one in one corner that wasn't, I didn't trust, but the others there's a lot of ledge there. And the whole structure, the whole building is built down a hill. And it's got footings, very good footings with big square cinder blocks and columns supporting the whole building down. There's a dozen or more of them. And so it was structurally very sound. That's what I looked at when I bought it. I saw how structurally sound it was. And, but I mean, I'm willing to, you know, I assume, I dug down and I got to shale and ledge. So I assume they're right down to shale and ledge, but there was one that wasn't. And I dug down until I got to the shale and ledge. But then I started this because I thought I could just do it because it was existing. I didn't know, but then I got to stop to do it until I come before you.
One other question, sir. When did you close on this property?
Exactly. I think it was summertime. I'd say 6 months ago, roughly.
Is it possible it could have been May 23rd of this year?
Very possible, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just simply wanted to establish when you took it over, so when you realized that there was no deck there.
Right, yeah. I didn't know it before,
Okay,
obviously, before.
It happened before you purchased the property.
What happened?
It had, whatever, however, the deck was damaged and
Right.
destroyed, whatever. That incident happened prior to the closing.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Property.
yeah.
Okay, and you bought the property anyway, knowing that there was a problem like this?
I didn't know there was a problem like this. I just thought it would be, oh, there's a deck there already. I can just rebuild that. And I looked at the cost of rebuilding the deck and, you know,
Yeah.
and
Did
didn't
you-
even
Did you
think.
contact, this,
Huh?
the department, the zoning department to, see whether or not that was possible?
I didn't. It was you know, I literally looked at it that day and there was a lot of people looking at it. There was a price reduction and so I jumped. And, you know, maybe I should have looked a little more to see what it would be, but I just assumed that there was a deck there that I could put a deck back. I had no idea that you wouldn't be able to. It didn't even enter my mind that I wouldn't be able to put it back. I was shocked when I was told I couldn't.
Okay. So I assume at some point you applied or talked to somebody?
Yes, yeah.
And you were told, no, you can't do that.
Huh?
That you have to come before us in order to get approval. Is that how it happened?
No, I got a stop order to be working on it, and I
Yeah.
assume the
Okay.
neighbor across the street, we're having a discrepancy on the right of way. She has put a fence up through the middle of the right of way with a gate. And I said, you can't have a gate and a fence up the middle of a right of way. You know, and she's parking, you can see the vehicles right there. She's got them parked all in the right of way. The boat, the trailer, a truck, she has them all in the right of way, and that's the right of way to my property. And it hadn't been occupied in 10 to 15 years, so she just kind of took it over. And she was upset that I was, you know, I says, I don't want to, you know, so you can see the fence on the right of way. You can see a dotted line, it's behind the vehicles. It's a fence, and the fence went all the way up the right of way. And she says, well, I'm going to move that fence over to the middle and you can have that side and I'll have this side. And I says, well, that isn't good enough. She says, well, that's all I'm doing. And I suppose I could probably take it to court and I think I would win because I don't think you can, it's got to be a state law that you can't block it right away. But, and I wasn't going to push it any further. But then, you know, next thing you know, then she was complaining about this and I don't know.
There's one other question I have for you. I noticed that the assessed value of the building alone, okay, which would include the supposed deck, you know, which was shown on the card, was $20,900, which
Yeah.
was also fully depreciated and in poor condition.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way it was identified.
Yeah.
The land, on the other hand, is worth $160 some odd $1,000.
Right.
So you're well aware of that?
that-
Yeah,
am I,
I was, I mean, basically, it sold for, I bought it for I think it come out at 225, if
Yep.
I remember right.
That's what it says.
Yeah, and in Scarborough, I mean, you can't find anything for that, but there was the reason, these other things with no, no septic. And it's I mean, it had paneling, and all the inside was stuff from the 40s, the wiring was terrible, and everything. So I've gutted it and had an electrician in and rewired everything new.
Oh, it's all been done?
That's all been done, yeah, yeah. And, a new electrical service. They did a new electrical service in 2010, but it still wasn't enough. It was a 60 amp service. It wasn't that great. So I put another whole new one in, 100 amp service, to make sure it could take a heat pump and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, the reason I'm asking so many questions, which I
Yeah.
normally don't, is because the application was very incomplete. It didn't really cover a lot of.
Well, I had trouble understanding the questions, the way they were worded. I needed to get a lawyer to figure it out, to be honest with you. I didn't know how to answer them. I put some things on there, but I figured the best
Yeah.
thing for me to do was for you to come and ask me questions, and we get face to face and ask questions and I'll
Absolutely,
answer.
we can do that,
Yeah.
but some people do bring lawyers or
Yeah,
architects or
yeah,
engineers, yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point.
And one point on this one is the nature of the variance. As a hardship variance, the state puts a very high bar on us being able
Right.
to approve hardship variances. And the bar, and we cover this in our training, in a number of ways, is one where the hardship is that you cannot yield a reasonable return on the property without the variance being granted. And the response that we've got on your note here, and we'll deal with this in a second, but I'll be honest with you, it doesn't address the question of a reasonable return.
Yeah.
And unlike some other property issues that we would deal with, especially with these tiny ancient properties, divisions along the coast, if we can't approve the variance, literally the house is uninhabitable, or the piece of property can't be used for anything other than storage. We're not dealing with that here. You could effectively put a window in the back instead of a sliding glass door, and with improvements to the house, you'd have a rentable house, and people wouldn't have a deck, but you'd have a rentable house. And that would meet the reasonable return barrier that the state asks us to consider. Now, would the house be as valuable as a house with a deck? No, but that's not what the state tells us to look at. They ask us to look, can you have a reasonable return on the property without the variance? And as I go through it, I hear your responses and go through this. I think we'll end up having to find the answer to that one being no. The land in question can yield a reasonable return without the variance, and that effectively ends the process for us. So, and I know that language in there is a bit technical, but the state's had a lot of case law on this in the past, and has made it has given us as a board very clear standards against which to judge reasonable return, and we're gonna have to apply those. So, with that, that was my big comment on this one as we were going through, as we were hearing this. I normally am the last one to comment though, so I don't want to be the last one to comment. Are there other comments from the board before I ask the appellant to read in the facts, and then we'll go to public comment?
I have one question.
Go for it.
So Mr. Doherty, if you're not able to add the deck, how will you use the property?
I don't know. I mean, again, as far as the hardship and the value of the deck would increase the value of it quite a bit, there's no doubt. I mean, can I recover? I don't know. With all of the upgrades that I'm doing and the cost of it, what it will come out to in the end with the way it is, I don't know if it would. Without a septic system and whatever, I don't know, as far as rental, I think I'll, an outhouse, a lot of women aren't gonna go rent a property, you know, even if you're going to Maine and roughing it, they're not gonna rough it with an outhouse, you know? So it does, but if you had the view and the deck, then maybe. So that's, I guess that question is, that's what it was leading to is, and that's my argument, I guess, is the value of the deck is substantial.
Do you anticipate still being able to have some use of the property without the deck?
Oh, it'd be a house, yeah, yeah. You know, you'd have to get rid of the sliding glass door. I mean, obviously, you don't want that from 8 feet.
Yeah.
So you'd have to take that out and put in windows, but yeah.
And have you determined that would be a financial hardship in some way? We're trying to determine, you know, if you can't get this deck, are you going to be able to use this house? And if you can't, then maybe we can help us determine if.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing I'd say as far as the state, again, they have these laws and rules and regulations. The town of Scarborough has this rule, whereas if 18 months, if it hasn't been rebuilt, it isn't. But there's other towns in the state of Maine that doesn't have that ordinance. Does the state refer that ordinance to, you know, just people who have that kind of ordinance? I don't know, and that's the question you have to ask yourself, I guess.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think that you could rebuild on something that already has footing. I get where you came from that.
Yeah, no, and that's part of the home rule practice of Maine. So we as a town have a right to make those sorts of determinations on what can be replaced or can't be replaced after a certain period. And other towns will make different determinations. And that is just how Maine delegates authority to its to incorporated towns. Brad?
Well, let's just set the record straight, okay? It's a mandatory, state mandatory shoreline zoning ordinance. It's the same for every community. That is a part of the ordinance that every community in Maine adopts. It's not Scarborough.
No, but that's the 18-month rule?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
got
in
it.
the
That's
shoreline zoning ordinance.
shoreline.
That's the minimum guidelines that the state puts in.
That's the shoreland. It's not
That's
part
the
of,
shoreline.
yeah, that's not part of, like, towns can though, for deteriorating buildings, have different rules for.
You could, but the
That's
state
not in the
guidelines
ship,
are gonna.
that aren't in the shoreline zone.
Yeah,
is my point.
yeah. I just wanted to say, it's not a Scarborough thing.
No.
It's a state thing.
That's right.
I've just a couple of things. I wish I had some existing pictures of the home, but since I don't, I'll just refer to the pictures here. Is there still an access stairwell up the side
Yes,
with a railing?
That is still there, yeah.
What kind of shape is that in?
The railing is in really a shape. The deck is actually, it was built fairly, it's pressure treated, it was flashed. It's in.
So you can get up into the house?
Up into that way.
No
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
The railing you said is a little,
Yeah.
That's not the deck we're talking about though.
but that's, I
That's
yeah, I
not-
realize
no,
that.
But that leads to that deck.
right.
Basically, you go up that and that's the stairwell onto that deck.
And I
It's
assume,
not part of this request though. to be clear.
right, understood. I was just trying to determine, you can get up into the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because and that's the other thing, we've had a somewhat wide-ranging conversation here, but I do want to focus on the four corners of the appeal as it was presented and given to us. And on that, we've got the appeal in front of us. I'd like to ask the appellant to read into the record his responses to the requirements for the variance. And then we'll close that out and offer to public comment. So are we comfortable doing that? And, okay. Great. So this is part of the process going through this, Mr. Doherty. We've got it's marked page 4 of your application. And it starts with number 1, the land in question cannot yield. I'll just read the question and then you verbally state your response and that enters it into the public record. So the land in question cannot yield a reasonable return unless the variance is granted. Reasonable return does not mean maximum return. Applicant must demonstrate practical loss of virtually all reasonable use of the land if the variance is not granted. Reasonable return is not determined by personal circumstances of the applicant.
Yeah. I guess from what we've discussed here and stuff, I don't know how to respond to it, to tell you the truth.
The need for the variance is due to the unique circumstance of the property. This criterion applies to property, not people, and to an uncommon condition not shared in the neighborhood. And again, you can even just read what you've put in your application here too, which is what most applicants do.
Yeah. If you could put that in layman's terms for me, that would help, but, oh, I don't have it on my copy of what I wrote, but you have it there.
Gotcha.
So,
I will read into the record what we had in the application. So
that's the best I can come up
the
with.
assessor's map shows the deck and it shows the deck and it is being taxed. Cinder blocks and footings still remain. So the granting of the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Essential character is characteristics of the neighborhood such as density, development, large open space, or rural, etc. And again, I'll just read it in for that for you. All other neighbors have non-conforming setbacks. The hardship is not, number 4, the hardship is not the result of action taken by the applicant or prior owner of the property. The hardship must be caused by imposition by zoning restriction, not by action taken by the property owner. And the response is Higgins Beach, Prouts Neck have the same small lot communities. They have less setbacks with new builds. So with that, those were the findings for the 4 here, or the applicant's responses to that. And I'm just reading your report so that you agree that those.
That refreshes my memory, yeah.
Great.
And that is true. That is what I wanted to bring up was about that with Higgins Beach. I mean, they've just basically, agreed to 3-foot setbacks in some of the places there. The lanes down at Prouts Neck and stuff, they've just said, the code has, the enforcement says we're not gonna, they say non-conforming lots. Well, the non-conforming lots now are becoming conforming lots. You've got the Downs, you're doing a lot of building in town that are this congested building. These non-conforming lots are lots that were built back in the day when they were conforming. They're what I'd call grandfathered, and so you can have them, you can live in them, you can, they're not gonna boot you out of your home. But in this case, I just thought it would be, especially going on, I ain't going outside the footprint that existed there before. I mean, and they're letting people build outside the footprint that existed there before. So.
Okay, we'll have that added to the record as part of your response then, and we appreciate it. So with that, I'll ask you to sit down.
Okay.
Thank you for the responses. And I will open up to public comment. We had one written public comment from a Terry Weymouth, and I think everybody had that in their package. Is there anyone else here for public comment on the floor? Okay, then that will close public comment. Now we need to go through the things here. The challenge on this one for me is that the 4 corners of the application don't really refer to setbacks. They refer to the construction of the elevated deck, which was deteriorating. And then we get into what Brian described or what has been described, which is what we do with shoreline what we can and can't do in shoreline setbacks. And now because it's past 18 months or because it was removed more than 18 months ago, we're in the land of the hardship variance, and hardship variances have really strict requirements. So with that, we've had a bit of general commentary. Do we want to just go through and look at number 1 and determine what we believe to be a finding of fact for number 1?
Sure.
Kyle, go for it.
So I'm sympathetic to the applicant, but I do not know how we could make findings to show that the applicant has demonstrated practical loss of virtually all reasonable use of the land if the variance is not granted. So I think that we cannot find that criteria number 1 has been satisfied.
Comments, David?
I would further add that there's still a usable house there. So the property does yield a use. It may not be as much as the applicant wishes to have. Doesn't have beautiful sunsets and, more rentable, higher rental rates or whatever, but it does that house as it exists is usable. It's a usable property. And what this one states is that it has no use whatsoever.
Well, I would like to add on the other side of that is that he will have to, now he hasn't shown what the cost of this will be, but there is a hardship involved in redoing part of the house to make that safe enough so that somebody doesn't, you know, you got to take out the doors. You have to restructure that wall instead of building a deck. And there is a little bit of hardship it doesn't make it totally unusable, but it could be so expensive that it makes the house not usable. He didn't show this, so this is all conjecture, but I do want to throw that out there. I am also sympathetic to it, but I agree, you didn't do a great job of demonstrating this
Joe?
Yeah,
first.
Oh,
Okay.
just to comment on
Yeah.
Shelley. Let me just point out that we're not considering a practical difficulty variance here. This is a much different type of variance. And any kind of money that the applicant would have to spend to remove that slider and to replace it with other windows has no bearing whatsoever. The question here is, does it have any use whatsoever?
Well, it's a reasonable return also, so if he was to go and sell this property.
No, it does not mean maximum return.
Yeah, it does not mean
Okay?
maximum
It means
return.
Some return.
Some,
Yeah. it has
And
some
return is.
I mean, we still haven't, there were no figures given to us either way,
Well,
but
Michelle, though, if we go back to the law, the idea is that if he can't do this, then he effectively could sell a property for no more than $5,000 or $10,000. That would be a reason, that would be an unreasonable return. If you could sell it for the property for $150,000, that's actually probably within the state's view of what a reasonable return would be. And we've got the assessor reporting that the land itself is worth $169,000. So, and then again, the hardship variance is an extremely tight window.
I mean, I'm
To go
still
through.
agreeing with you guys.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
That it's not met, I
Yeah.
just am. I
I
was trying to throw something out there.
I don't
that
think we
for
need
finding
to-
a fact that we
I
could.
don't think we need
potentially-
to convince anybody or twist anybody's arm. I think we just need to propose findings and then
Yep.
take a vote on them.
Agreed.
We.
Joe, anything else, David? I've gotten on this one. I'm in accordance with Kyle here. So we'll take a vote. Has the applicant met the requirements of the first order for the hardship variance? Michelle?
No,
David?
No.
Kyle?
No.
Joe?
no.
And I agree. No, that's 0 to 5. The second is the need for the variance is due to the unique circumstance of the property. This criterion improves the property, not people, into an uncommon condition not shared in the neighborhood. I actually think the applicant has met the requirement for this. This seems to be entirely related to how this property aged, how the deck was deteriorated and fell apart. The fact that the footings are still there is, I think, indicative of this. And the assessor's map showing the deck shows that he didn't do this. He was buying, it might have been reasonable to understand that this was a potential risk, but I think that this has been met for the terms of the variance. So,
Helen, do we need to go through the rest of the findings, the criteria, if we've already found if one of them hasn't been satisfied?
Yeah,
it
We
seems
still
to
do,
be
oh, okay.
Yeah.
so
I apologize.
Sure.
Well,
any other, any thoughts on 2?
yeah.
David?
All right, so I will disagree with you, Peter.
Sure.
On this one. And the reason I do is that what the applicant has to show is that this property is unique. And there are several other properties in the neighborhood that are also substandard in lot area, frontage and setbacks, which makes this property not unique. So I don't think this criterion has been met.
I'll disagree slightly on that one, and without disagreeing with the idea that there are other properties in the area that are not non-conforming or non-compliant, because we saw one recently that the one that had the fancy outhouse and the deck. It was about 5 or 6 months ago, Brian, which was in Winnick's deck. But that was differently non-conforming and differently affected than this property. So I think I will respectfully disagree, but I hear what you're saying. So.
Yeah, just the uniqueness to me is that at some point in time, that deck was allowed to fall into disrepair and be removed. If it were there in disrepair, it'd be a completely different situation we're dealing with right now. Because to the point that was made earlier, it'd be grandfathered, but you lost that the second that deck has disappeared. That makes it unique because there aren't a lot of properties that I'm aware of in these areas where that is actually the case.
So we'll take a rule on number 2. Has the applicant met the requirements for item 2 of the hardship variance? Michelle?
Yes.
David?
No.
Kyle?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So 4-1 for that. Number 3, the granting the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Joe, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Granting a variance will not alter the unique character of the neighborhood. All the other neighbors have the same non-conforming setbacks. I mean, this is sort of the general status of these types of neighborhoods. Everybody is pretty much non-conforming. So from that standpoint, I believe this is met.
Any other comments on that one? Nope. Michelle?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And Michelle, why don't you take the last one? The hardship is not the result of action taken by the applicant or a prior owner of the property.
Yeah, maybe taken by the prior owner of the property, but this deck was not here and it's nothing that he did, and the hardship itself isn't a result of the applicant's doing.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in and add a little bit
Yeah.
to that? So I would say we could, I would propose findings that the hardship was caused by the imposition of the zoning restriction on the existing structures which predated the imposition of zoning. So I think I would propose we make a finding that this criteria is satisfied.
I agree. Because I think that the hardship actually would technically date to the shoreland zoning ordinance or the state ordinance for the shoreland area.
Right.
Yeah, so I agree. David?
I must respectfully disagree. What we have here is really the question. It's not the result of action taken by the applicant or prior owner. Listen, there's no question of the fact that the applicant didn't cause this problem.
Right.
It was done by the prior owner. The prior owner neglected to make the necessary repairs, which could have been made within the 18 months by coming to the board, looking for, a shoreline setback variance similar to what we approved earlier.
Mhm.
Okay, so the clock ran out.
Did we hear testimony, or do we see in the comments when this was actually removed, when the deck or the shed was removed?
Do we have a record of that?
Well, there's a bit of a record from actually one of the public comments, which gave a lengthy history of the property, but talked mostly about sewage.
What I see in here, in the proposed finding of facts is it occurred on June 26th of 2022,
2022, okay.
which means within 3.
And that would have been the prior owner, but to your point, that is the prior owner.
It does say a prior owner, so
Right.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
And the shoreland ordinance was already in effect in 2022. So the owner at that time would have had access to the area that and would have been able.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a compelling argument.
It's either an action or inaction. In this case, it's inaction.
Yeah.
It's really just the other side of the coin.
I think that's fair, David. Yeah. Well, we'll take a run here. Michelle,
No.
Dave,
No.
Cal?
Yes.
I'm gonna go no. Joe?
No.
No, 1 to 4, no against. With that in mind, do I have a motion to approve the variance?
So moved.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second? I will second it.
You move to approve the variance.
That's the.
Yeah,
motion.
which, I could also move, it's just
We
the,
vote no.
exactly, it's direction of the vote.
I'll second.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Joe. Joe seconds, Doreen. Then I think we're discussion is good. We'll, if you could call the roll, Doreen.
Peter Flannery,
No.
Kyle Mooney,
No.
David Bork,
No.
Michelle Stevenson,
No.
and Joe Doherty.
No.
The appeal fails on a 0 to 5 vote. Sorry, Ms. Doherty. But thank you for coming before the board. Yeah, and on that last one, Kyle, it was the direction. Do we vote yes or no? So.
Good.
Second ballot.
Great. Yeah, I don't, I'm.
Hold on 1 second. We just have to adjourn. So, but yes, we'll stick around. Do we have any comments from members of the board? I have one comment, which is, I have 2 comments. First off, Kyle is stepping down at the conclusion of his 3-year term for great family reasons, but we will miss him. He's been a wonderful member of the board. We appreciate his service to the town. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Appreciate it. I don't think I'm off the hook until there's a replacement. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, well,
And we'll try to get quorums without you until then. Don't want you to be an indentured servant,
all
but
right, thank you.
we'll do our best. With that in mind, we have an administrative appeal on the January session, which are a bit complicated and can be a little bit tortured. So I would appreciate if there's any way everyone can make it. I'll be doing early roundings up of people for that one. So, yes.
Question on that.
Yes.
Would you share with us what the nature of this administrative appeal is, please?
Helen, it's, could you give a quick description?
I think since this is Brian's last zoning board meeting with us, maybe you would be willing to give a description of the appeal.
Yeah.
We're gonna get our fees. So it's typical, generally these administrative appeals are to contest the decision, ruling, judgment, or interpretation by the building official. And my issuance of a building permit is being contested by the neighbors, in the neighborhood of where the permit was issued.
So folks will remember,
I don't think it's appropriate to discuss any more details than that.
well,
But no, the reason I asked the question is maybe I was misinformed, but I thought other departments of the town could be subject to administrative appeals. That's not true? And one that can vary by the town or city.
Possibly, but it's
But in Scarborough.
it's against the building official or the code enforcement
Only.
officer.
Okay, thank you. If I hadn't known that, I wouldn't have asked the
Um,
question. Sorry.
we-
You gonna come back here after being retired?
we have, David, we have some detail on the appeal that staff can discuss offline, but I agree with Brian. It's not appropriate in the public forum for today to go into additional detail on that one.
Although I also think the staff shouldn't discuss it offline, should all be.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is the staff has paperwork that they can
Right,
forward to us,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
And in fact, it would have been heard today, except for a scheduling issue with the appeal. So yeah, we have all the detail on it. We had to push it back. So there's that. I wanted to bring that up. And then ask of Doreen or Brian, do we have any update? Do we have folks who have applied to become members of the board or that are going before? Nothing from Tony on that one? Okay.
I'm not aware of any, but I will remind the board that usually the first meeting of the year is when you elect your chair and your vice chair.
Yep, that's correct. We've got that next month too. So again, please
Do
show
we
up.
have anyone else's terms coming up? Because I feel like mine might be.
No one, actually Richard Silkman is up, but I believe Richard did apply to go to re-up. Yeah, I've talked with Richard about it. But we're that time of the year too, where Richard is not in Maine. So he often is unable to attend the meetings, I think, until March. So, but I believe Richard did re-up with Tody or request re-up with Tody in the town. So those were the only two for this cycle. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
First, I'd just like to thank Brian for his long, I believe this. is
Oh, yeah, what are
meeting.
we thinking here? Of
So-
course. Yes, we will miss your vests. We will miss the days of Zoom calls with your guitar collection in the background. Brian, it's been and we will miss working with the duly awarded best code enforcement officer in the state. So, yeah, Brian, thank you very much for guiding us for us here, but also all the prior boards for many years here at the town. Your loss will be missed. Or your loss will be noted and with sadness. So thank you very much. A little applause for Brian, please. And only now will I accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Second,
A second.
show of hands. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.